So thank you everyone for joining us today to learn a little bit more about CodeHS and specifically CodeHS Pro. My name's Brett Eskelson. I will be running this webinar and kind of showcasing some of the differences between our free plan and our pro plan. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, if there's anything that comes up, there should be a chat button or a Q&A button in the top left corner. Feel free to chat in your questions at any point, and we can kind of answer those as we go along. We'll also chat out some different links so that you don't have to memorize those or write those down as well. As I mentioned, my name's Brett. I am the Director of Sales here at CodeHS and love talking with people about computer science and specifically computer science education, and love seeing how students and kind of the transition with students wanting and loving these computer science and coding classes now, and being able to see how they're learning about the impact of computers, especially with the world that we live in. So let's jump in and get started here. So first of all, what is the difference between CodeHS Pro and our free plans? Many of you may have a CodeHS account, might be teaching classes on there, and so we provide all of our courses and curriculum available for schools and teachers to utilize for free. And again, that's all of the curriculum, not just some of it, and then it's locked down, but you would have access to every piece of our course curriculum with your students so that they can learn, in a lot of different languages and classes. We also have an upgraded Pro account, which provides teachers with a lot of additional resources and tools. And the main goal there is to make your life easier and save you time and energy throughout the day and the year. I was talking with a teacher a couple of months ago and had asked them what their favorite tools or things that they utilized with the Pro plan and things that kind of made their job a little bit easier. And the teacher had mentioned progress tracking, magic grading, our detailed lesson plans, and then CodeHS support and account management as some of those tools. Now, these are not all of the tools associated with a CodeHS Pro account. For a full list, if you went to our website, codehs.com/info/plans will give a really nice breakdown of all of the added functionalities. But for the sake of this webinar, we're really going to hone in on this teacher's favorite tools, which is shown here. And so I'm going to high-level talk about each one of these, and then we'll shift gears, jump into the platform, and really kind of go over what each of these is and how it can help you as a teacher. So progress tracking. The main goal with progress tracking is to provide you as a teacher with simple dashboards that allow you to see what's happening and monitor the progress of the students in your classes. And so on the free plan, you have to kind of go into each student individually and be able to see where students may be at, if student might need help on something. With progress tracking, you can see all of the students in your class broken down by lesson or activity or module. You can even view just quiz and test scores if you would like. And then you can really diagnose and see maybe a student's falling behind. Then we can talk with them and we can provide additional help there. Or maybe students are struggling on similar assignments, and so we may want to talk through that as a class. And so this is a really great kind of way to better understand what's happening within your computer science classes. The next is magic grading. And now magic grading's a term that we use here that kind of encompasses all aspects of grading within the platform. And so there's really several tools that kind of lead into this. One is instant feedback. As students are working on the site and they're writing code and running code, we provide instant feedback and these certain checkpoints to make sure that students are writing things that are needed for the code, and they can check their code against those. There's also a grading queue for you as a teacher so that you can kind of manage the submissions you want to grade or see. There's fast grade, which that's what this image here is, which is meant to just make grading faster for you. We know that as teachers, you're very busy and your time's valuable. And so if we can speed up this process for you, that's what we're trying to ultimately do. And then there's the code review dashboard, which provides a lot of these kind of pieces, all in one place for you. We also have detailed lesson plans for every lesson within CodeHS. All of our courses have these comprehensive lesson plans, and the goal with that is to provide you as teachers with additional resources and additional insight into what's going on so that you can better help and support your students. As we got started here at CodeHS, we realized that a lot of teachers were new to teaching computer science, and so this really helps those teachers understand and have some background information for when they're teaching their students. But then also advanced teachers, it provides a lot of additional resources like strategies for teaching or alignment to different standards and student modification. We also have problem guides and handouts associated with these lesson plans. So taking things and maybe taking them offline and thinking about them in another way. We also provide CodeHS support and account management for our Pro accounts, which means that you will have a dedicated account manager for you as a teacher, for you as a school or a district, but every teacher will have someone that they can go to here whose main interest is your success. And so that account manager will work with you during the initial setup and implementation process. When you get started for the school year, they're going to make sure that the courses you have set up are the right courses, that students are enrolled, that you have every piece of information that you need. They also provide support throughout the school year. And so sometimes a teacher may be new, and so we'll get you set up and going and then work with you throughout the year. Halfway through the year, the teacher may want to dig into badging or another tool that we have. And so the account manager can work with them and provide webinars to teach them how to utilize these additional tools. They will provide best practices and tips and tricks so that you have as much information as possible and answers to your questions. So you can email them, you can call them, you can also chat in through the CodeHS chat box within the site, which will get you upgraded support as well. And so on that, I want to shift for a moment and actually dig in and show you what the system looks like here. So now on the site, we have what we're looking at here is the activity progress feed for this class. So I can see here I have all of my students over on the left. These are the different lessons and assignments associated there, and I can just kind of see where students are at, who may need help. The goal with this is not to give you all of the answers, but to help you diagnose which questions you should be asking. And so the key, kind of the color key here, gray is showing that a student hasn't started something yet or even clicked into it. Yellow means that a student has started something. Pink shows a student submitted something, there were some errors or issues with the code, so it's been sent back to them. The light green circle, the solid circle, is showing that a student's passed something, they've submitted it, and if there are CodeHS auto checks, they've passed those as well. And then the dark green circle around is showing that I myself as a teacher have gone in and reviewed the student's code. and then signed it off that yes, it is correct. And so for this example, we could look here, and right off the top, I may question why all of the students have skipped most everything here. So I could think back and maybe I told them to do that, or maybe they all just assumed and did it on their own. So, but then over here with functions and Carol. So in this lesson, it looks like none of the students have watched the video, but then they've moved on, and it looks like they're all getting stuck on the actual coding exercises. And so tomorrow in class, we may want to spend more time and dig into functions and revisit that subject or topic. And then we could maybe watch the video, or at least show the students that they could watch the video to gain more insight into certain concepts as well. With the activity and progress tracking, there are a lot of different views. So we could view this by lesson. Maybe we just want to break it out into individual lessons or whole modules. Again, we could look at the quiz and test scores and see how students are performing on those. We could also just look at weekly progress and see how our students are progressing week over week. With these progress tracking views, you can export those, and then you could export that into a CSV, plug it into another system, maybe a spreadsheet, and then you could manipulate that data over there as well. And then there are just a couple of other things that I wanted to showcase just so that you're aware. You can configure this with a few different things. So you could have a column on here that shows if students are on track or off track. We could show due dates on this just so that you have that. You could show, and it will flag this or tag it if a student turns something in late so that you can see that from here. You could also hide activities without due dates. And so I know some teachers have set up their classes where the assignments or the items that have a due date on it, students know those are the assignments that are like a must complete for me. The others they can just do if they want or need the additional help. And so you could just set this to show those with due dates so that you're only looking at those that you've messaged to the students as must be complete. So that is progress tracking. Now let's shift gears and we will go into some of the different tools associated with Magic Grading. So we're going to go to the code review dashboard. And in here, this is really where you can kind of get to everything that you may need with grading or student help. So right up top, you'll notice that if a student is writing code in their code editor and they run into an issue, they can go into the help tab and ask you, a teacher, a question. That will show up for you here. And then we could go in, you could click into these individually, go run their code, provide feedback or help. We could also go into help mode, which basically will allow you to go from student to student to student if you have multiple help questions in this. Down below that, we have any student submissions. So as students are working and they're writing code and running code, when they submit that, that will come to you here and show up in your submissions. You can see if something was late. You can also click into an assignment here and view that individually. We're going to get into fast grade in just a moment, but I want to take a second and talk through queue settings. So queue settings basically allow you to see what you want to see. By default, CodeHS is set up so that every assignment a student completes will come into your grading queue. You may want that. Some teachers don't want that though. And so we've set these queue settings, which allow you as a teacher to basically say what comes to you when and where. So if we were to go in here and let's say JavaScript and graphics. For this module, I can look at all of the different assignments and then I can turn things on or off. So if I'm saying yes, that means that when a student completes this t-shirt shop exercise, that will come to my grading queue, and I will see that, grade it, provide feedback, and then send it to the student. Right now, for a grocery store, if a student submits that, it won't come into my grading queue. And I'm basically taking into account that if they pass the CodeHS auto checks, I'll take that score as their score and know that they probably got it right. What we found, and the reason that we built this out and have added this, was a lot of kind of feedback that we got was that computer science classes are oftentimes similar to like a math class, where a teacher may assign you at the end of the chapter to do all of the odd problems. When you turn in the homework, the teacher will review a couple of those to make sure that you're understanding the concepts. And that's basically what this provides. So we only want you as a teacher to see what you want to see and then grade the things that you want to grade and provide feedback there. So with that, let's jump into Fast Grade, because this is how you grade those assignments that you want to here in the platform. So we'll open that up. And again, this is meant to do just what it says, make grading faster. And it's pretty awesome. This is one of the things that teachers really, really love. So right here, we've gone in and we're looking at a student submission. We can filter this out. Maybe you just want to see a certain assignment and go assignment by assignment or exercise by exercise. You could filter this out and look at whole classes, maybe your first period class if you want to. We can see who the student is, what the activity, when it was submitted. If it was late, there would be a tag here noting that for us. We auto-populate the student code on the left and then give you the solution code as well. So really quickly, you can just look through this and say, oh yeah, it looks great. If you want, you can also run the code. So we can take this and we can run it to just verify that yes, it works correctly. We can see what this assignment is asking. So we can just review this to make sure they have all the points. They need to create a function called collect coins, which looks like they have. You can also add rubrics to CodeHS, and then you can view those here. So then over on the left is where we're going to now provide feedback and score this. So if we want to, we can leave a comment in here. And maybe the student needs to check their punctuation or capitalization. We can leave that comment for them. We can also create canned responses. And so this is key, because as you start doing this and you start to notice that, you know, punctuation is something that's often left out, or the capitalization or the indent or whatever it may be, you create these canned responses, and then you can quickly dump those in rather than leaving that same comment over and over. And then we can score it. So we could pass this off, or we could send it back to the student that they need to make some adjustments and fix some of the pieces to get it correct. And once I do that, it'll auto put in the new student for me, or we could just skip. So maybe I want to come back to this one. I could skip to the next student here. And then again, review this code, look at the solution code over on the right. These scores all feed into the CodeHS gradebook automatically as well. So that is some of the tools and functionality that make up Magic Grading. Now we're going to shift gears to that third item, which is lesson plans. So if we open up the toolbox here, and we'll go into lesson plans. Okay. Each of our courses have detailed lesson plans for each of the lessons so that you as a teacher have as much information as possible. So we could come in here and let's say we want to, maybe next week or tomorrow we're going to be teaching on for loops. I can come in here and get a lot of additional information so that I can better help my students. All of our lesson plans, you can print those off or you can download those. If you print it, you could then save this and then edit it and adjust it. So maybe you wanted to add another section or area or change some of the discussion questions or whatever so that it's your own, you can definitely do that. You can also view any of these lesson plans directly here within the web browser. And coming here, so this is what the students will be able to accomplish. The objective for this lesson. Here are all of the different activities that your students will encounter. And you can then review these, look over those so that you're comfortable with them. If you wanted to, you could also print out the quizzes and give those on paper rather than having students do them online. We provide you with the solution references. So here's the answer keys for all of these. But beyond that, we provide you with problem guides. And so these are super helpful because what they do is they provide some additional insight and background information for the coding exercises that your students will encounter. So there's some of the motivation behind it, some common questions that students may come up with as they're coding this problem. And so for this one, as they're learning about loops, one of the common questions or issues that students run into is that their browser freezes as they're running the code. And so rather than you just needing to think, oh, okay, maybe CodeHS is something's wrong with your browser or computer, you now know that this is pretty common with loops and maybe the student has an infinite loop in their code, and so we can look for that. Any new vocabulary here? Handouts. So these handouts are great because they're a way to supplement the class. A lot of times you can take things offline or think about concepts and topics in a different way rather than just having kids on the computer all day and writing and running code. Several of our courses have textbook resources. These are an online textbook which we've developed. You could assign that for reading, or again, that can be another supplement for students. As I just kind of scroll through here, you'll notice there are a lot of other pieces. So planning notes, teaching and learning strategies, prior knowledge, discussion questions, modification. And then down at the bottom, here are the different standards associated with this lesson. And so what we've done here is we've tied in all of the CSTA standards into the lesson plans just because they're kind of the more national, broadly accepted. We do have other standards that we've mapped to, and we have documentation on those. So if you were interested or needed information on those, we can provide those to you as well. So that is a lesson plan and kind of all of the information there. And then the last piece that I'll hit on briefly ties in with support in the account manager. So a lot of these tools you have access to on the free plan. You can go into support, view the knowledge base, the teacher forum, request a demo, whatever it may be. You also, if you ever chat in here, you can get faster response times because you're a pro account, and that's always really great. So if you need something, if a student's stuck or has a question, you can chat in and get support right here within the system as well. So on that, those are really some of the key differentiators with Pro and why schools upgrade to Pro and utilize our Pro accounts. Can you just share out here? And then we'll go to questions. So if you're interested in learning more about Pro, if you want to try out a Pro account, we can definitely turn that on for you, a Pro trial. If you'll just email us at hello@codehs.com, we can set that up so that you can try out these resources and tools and really play with it and give it a go. Gonna check here, just see if we have any questions or Q&A in here. Okay, sorry, I didn't see this one because I had the Q&A open and these were in chat, so I apologize. Okay, give an example of a canned response. Are you asking for like an example where like you want to see what that looks like in the system if I click on a canned response, or just an example of like sometimes students may have punctuation errors, and so your canned response is check for punctuation errors. Okay, see how it works in the system. Okay, let me share that and we will have a look here. I'm going to see if any of these assignments have them. Okay, so I thought this had one. Okay, here we go. Here's one. So here's an example of some of these canned responses. And so we could just use that and it'll auto plug it in there, and then I can send that to the student. And now the student will get that feedback here and they will see this information. So rather than me needing to type all of that out, that's what it looks like. And so we may have this one that we could use and send to that as well. And again, you don't have to send them one at a time. So that's what that looks like. May, is that good? Okay, cool. And then May, on that last question, if you will email me at hello@codehs.com, I will check with our New York rep and we can find out more information on that for you with that specific question about FAMUS. Yeah. Okay, are there any other questions from anyone at the moment? Okay, good question. So anything special with Pro for the VR curriculum? There's not currently, no. So the VR course that we have on the free account will have the same information for your students specifically. The one caveat there would be some additional lesson plans and things like that that you would have available. Okay. And then So asked about pricing information. If you will email us directly, because there are some different pieces, and so it kind of depends on what the rollout would look like, whether it's an individual one class or a full school, or if there's multiple classes and then the number of students and things like that. So we can definitely get you that. If you'll just, again, email hello@codehs.com, we can send you over a custom quote that's for exactly what you would need. Okay, so Joe asked, post the URL to the standards you have preloaded. Yep, I can send that out. Let me see if I can hurry and find it. I may not have it quick and accessible, so if you will email us that, I will get that sent to you. So Joe asked, can you please post the URL to the standards you have preloaded? And then I will send that over. Can you do your own standards? So that would be well, not currently, like tying you could tie things to your own standards, but it wouldn't track those necessarily through CodeHS. You can definitely create your own standards, but then like having that show up in the lesson plan wouldn't necessarily be there at the moment. And then is there a way we can split our class so that 5 are paid and the other 25 are free? Yes, you can definitely do that as well. Is Tracy the Turtle available for free access with resources? Yes, Tracy the Turtle is available with our free account, and the additional resources and tools would not be available on the free account. They would, however, on the pro account. Can you put in your own grading scale for the gradebook instead of using the default one? That is something that not currently. There is a way to add in your own rubrics, but the grading scale is kind of set at the moment. In the gradebook, however, you do have the ability to adjust the scores, and then you can go in and assign scores based on how students perform. So maybe the default for an assignment may be 5 points, and you want it to be worth 20 points. You could go in and adjust that on a exercise by exercise basis for your students. What is the timeline for buying students? I'm assuming that means like the timeline for purchasing seats for students, and there really isn't a timeline on that. We work with you and your school's kind of fiscal budget, and so our typical contracts usually run July through June, but then it kind of depends on different things, school by school basis, kind of at that point. Can you hide the grade and just have the students be able to see their percentage? Yes, that can be done. Students can just see their percentage. What is the difference between the 30 to 40 hour PD and the 1-day New York PD session? Okay, great question. So we have these online PD courses, which provide a lot of information and background. So let's say you're teaching AP Java, you can take our online AP Java course, which is a course that digs into some of the curriculum, best teaching practices. You have CodeHS teachers that work with you on different things throughout that course. And then we have this summer going on several PD events or seminars, New York being one of those. And those events are geared more broadly. So rather than focused in on a specific course subject area, they're more broadly teaching computer science and then utilizing even CodeHS as the platform and curriculum that you could utilize for your classroom. Is VR curriculum popular with many schools? Yes, it is. We do have a lot of schools using VR curriculum. I'm not sure the number off the top of my head or the percentage on that, but there is a lot of schools that do love that. And one thing that they do, there's even a lot of other subject areas that are tying in our VR curriculum. So rather than just a computer science class, they're tying it into other STEM fields as well. Joe, so again, on that specific question for purchasing and what that looks like, if you'll, I know that you said you'll send an email, so if you'll send an email, we can talk through all of the specifics on that, because there's different options and different things that we can do there. Yeah, so for buying, if we purchase the student seats more towards the fall, is there a way to get pro version set up so that teachers can start? And the answer is yes, Alyssa. We can definitely get you set up earlier so that then your teachers have access, they can get started and start setting things up and be familiar rather than just right before they have to start into the fall. Is PD events for individual learners? Yeah, they're for really anyone. Anyone can attend those PD events. Again, I believe we have somewhere on our website, maybe we can send a follow-up that, oh, looks like Claire added that. Awesome, thank you. So there's a link in there that goes over the different PD events and where those are at. You can sign up for those and then join us in any of those locations as well. Why A-frame rather than Unity? That is a question that I'm not 100% sure the answer to. I would have to double check with our curriculum team to get more information on that. I'm not sure if there was like one reason over another, or if there was any like specific reason we went with A-frame versus Unity on that. So on that note, thank you all so much for your time. If you do have additional questions, please email us and we can get back in touch, get you all of the answers that you need. But again, thank you for spending time this afternoon with us, and look forward to talking hopefully with many of you in the future.